Hello, everyone. Welcome to Untamed Minds. My name is Jessica, and I'm your host. If you're new here, hello, welcome. I am so excited to have you all join me today. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for your continued support. I really appreciate each and every single one of you. Just a quick reminder to why I created this podcast platform. The reason why is because I believe that mental health is so important to have discussions about, but obviously there's still a lot of stereotypes, stigmas around the topic of mental health, especially within our Hmong community. So the reason why is because, I wanted to bring people onto my platform to talk about their role and lived experiences that people can relate with. And so that way I hope to encourage and inspire people to be more open to having discussions about mental health. So I do have a really special guest here with me today, but before we dive in and have her introduce herself, today's topic, we will be talking about the mental health aspect of just like life in general and how music can navigate you through that. So the special guest that I do have here, she is an uprising Hmong artist. Her name is Lena. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourself and give us a quick fun fact.
Hi. Thank you so much. First off, thank you so much, Jess and Untamed Minds, for inviting me on this podcast. I am just super ecstatic to just share myself as an artist, as a person, as another human being, as another Hmong American. And yeah, so I'm Lena. What's poppin'? And one fun fact, I like books. That's it. I like books.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good fun fact.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and of course, thank you so much for being on here as well, despite your busy schedule and with you being in England right now. Thank you for making time to be on this platform.
Of
So
course.
personally, I do really admire Lena's work. Like I said before, she's an uprising Hmong artist. She has created a couple songs. One of her bigger hit songs is called Luka Toshia. You guys have heard that. This is the person who created it. And she also has a podcast of her own as well called Hmong Mika Stories, where she kind of shares about her own stories as a Hmong Mika person. So I would, encourage everyone to check it out. So before we dive into the topic itself, I do have a quick icebreaker question for us. I guess the icebreaker question would be, what is something you've done that made you feel liberated?
Man, that is a good question. Liberation to me is like relieving myself and being able to free myself. So I think it's really just writing. But then see, like at first when I started writing, it wasn't about liberation, but I think now writing does that for me. So, great icebreaker question. I really love that. We
Yeah.
could definitely dive into that, which is, I mean,
Mhm.
mainly the reason why I'm here today.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Writing, I feel like when people think of writing, they think of it like as like an assignment, like as a job. Like,
Mhm.
but writing can go such a long way, especially if you don't want to, vocally express yourself. You can just write things down and keep it
Mhm.
or burn it, like whatever you want to do. So thank you for
Yeah.
answering that.
You know,
Hmm.
even to add on that, like, I feel like when people think of the word writing, like, people think like, oh, like, you mean like essays? Are you talking about like novels? Are you talking about like, journaling? Like, I'm talking about whatever comes out of that pen. Like, anything, whatever it is, poems, words. And there's so many different forms of writing that a person can adopt and make it into art or make it into something that is liberating or even confining almost too. The complexities of it, it's endless. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I guess for me, to answer this question, something that I've done that made me feel liberated was a time when I went to a rage room. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah,
But
girl. Oh my
yeah. But like I went to I think I was going through something personal and I bottled it in for so long that I feel
God.
like, like I need to just make an appointment, go to the rage room, and just throw stuff, and I did that, and after that, like, I felt so relieved. I was able to just, you know, like, throw my anger out, and
Yeah.
after leaving that, like, and, like, the people there, they're also very understanding, they don't judge you too, so I've
Mm.
seen, cases where people do cry, do break down, and I've watched videos of that, and I think, like, that's
Mm.
also a healthy way to relieve your stress, so that's one of the experiences that I had that made me feel the most, like, liberated.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah.
I have yet to go to a rage room.
Oh my god.
I was looking into one before I came here and it was too far from where I live, so I was just like, I'm gonna just
Mhm.
give up on this. But I know that like I've seen videos too about like people going to the rage rooms and
Mhm.
like can I just say that like to me just looking at someone like do that, it's so like to me it makes me pumped up. It makes me emotional. It
Mhm.
makes me like feel their relief.
Mhm.
But I'm so happy for you. Oh my God.
Oh, thank you.
How often do you even go?
I don't go that often anymore because I feel
Mm.
like I found my peace, but then,
Oh,
like,
I love that.
before well, like, I've been there, I would say, like, 3 times, which
Mm.
is I feel like not a lot, but at the same time, a lot because it was
Mhm.
3 times within, like, a 2-month span.
Girl, you know what? Period.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say
Mhm.
if you've never, like, experienced a rage room, go for it. It's
Mhm.
a really good experience for sure.
Definitely be looking into it for sure.
Mhm. Okay, so again, thank you so much for answering that icebreaker question. So, like I said, I do want to dive in and talk a little bit more about the topic, music and mental health. How can music navigate you through hard times? So, the first question that I do have for you is that, like, how did you first get into songwriting and, like, what inspired you to start?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Going back to the icebreaker as well, like writing, right? I think I don't remember, just growing up, I don't remember a moment where I was never with a notebook and a pencil or a pen. Like I've always even like songwriting came a little bit later because that was with music as well. Like I was always singing as well. But it's funny because I never knew that people wrote songs. Like I thought that those words in music just kind of came naturally while they were on stage or like while they were like recording. I don't know. That was like a young thought that I had and so I just thought like maybe when I grow up I'll probably sing other people's songs and just feel good, but at some point I felt like doing covers just wasn't fulfilling anymore. And I mean, I still would love to do it more now. That was when I was still on my old Facebook, but like with my new one now, like I just feel like it wasn't as fulfilling and I used to perform so much doing covers and it was fun for a moment, but then when I started to see like, young artists, especially Hmong artists, really, they would bring their guitar and they would perform for us their own songs and I was just super inspired. And I think during that time I was only like 11, 12. And that was when I was just like, oh my God, like the song is good because of the melody and the lyrics and the emotions and feel everything all put together, you know? So that was when I kind of found my niche for like songwriting, where I was just like, okay, this is a fire beat. And then like there comes the what am I gonna talk about in this specific song? And it was just always meaningful to me. But yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, wow, you were so young. You said 11, 12. You were first inspired? Wow. I feel like that's that's so young, but I'm glad that, this person was able to inspire you at such, like, a young age because it's true, like, when sing covers, it's very different from when you write your own songs because,
Mhm.
yeah, covers are like or, like, songs that you cover too, those are songs that you can relate with, but then writing your own song is, like, that's your story, right? That's something that you own.
Yes.
So, I guess one thing that I do wanna, like, just kind of a follow-up question that I have is, like,
Mhm.
in terms of songwriting, what was something challenging that you experienced with that?
Oh my God. Okay, so I definitely say language. Like language was probably the most it's always gonna be like hard. I feel like even though 在这个海陆梦了过去海呢, right? Like I feel like language it will always be difficult in whatever language I try to like write in to find the correct words, you know? And then in Hmong, right? Like even though people say that I'm, you know, fluent or like I'm good, but honestly, I still feel very limited in my vocabulary. And recently, I have been doing so much research about the Hmong people and the Hmong language, and then like when you take it into when you look at all these things that Hmong people already have, like bây giờ ra chong lo, bây giờ chỉ sai lo, bây giờ ra kênh, right? Bây giờ kênh, like y'all lu, and so much more, right? Like when you really dive into that stuff and you try to like say or like understand that kind of stuff, it's like another level of like understanding when you are a songwriter. And me doing my own personal research in that, like at first, when I first started songwriting, I was just like, okay, yeah, we just got to make the words rhyme. We just got to like, you know, keep writing, make it sound good. But then like everybody doing that, you know, like everybody's already kind of doing that, you know? And I wanted to just see what can I add more and more and how to be more different, how to be more original, how to be more Lena, and which kickstarted my whole research. But yeah, like I think that's the most difficult part is just finding the correct words, language,
Mm,
and being able to portray it and say it
mhm.
in a simple manner, simple way, you know?
Yeah,
So,
wow. It's so
mhm.
interesting hearing you explain that because I would think language would be the easiest thing. Yeah, or
Oh,
okay, because I'm not a songwriter, so, like, just from, like, my perspective, it's like, oh, like,
yeah.
you just say it, like, you just say how you feel and that's it, but now
Hmm.
kind of just hearing you explain that, it's true, like, you have to find the correct words because, let's say, some words, they hit deeper than others, right?
Yeah.
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 And if you wanna hit that emotion or, like, nerve of emotion, you have to use that correct word. So,
Hmm.
I see where you're coming from, and it's true, we think that bây giờ là Hmong mì kids, right? Bây giờ thì bé bảo họ là Hmong, bé họ là Hmong với mình à. But then when you actually do your research and you see all these different types of
Girl,
Hmong yeah,
seriously, like
it's like,
I'm over
"What the
here
heck?"
like, what the heck? Yeah, for real. I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah. And I think that the real art comes in when you know how to mesh that and
Mm.
the traditional words, right? Those really deep meaning words to the and mix it with the simplistic words
Mhm.
that we use every day. That right there is like how you can really I think level up
Yeah.
your songwriting. I think closest that I've ever heard, and I'm so inspired by these people too. Like I'm not
Mhm.
even, you know, up there yet. I'm still in this research process. I'm always gonna be learning, but there is Def Rhyme. That guy
Mm.
is a monster. He is literally like
Yeah.
so good. And also Tuki Jong. Uh,
Mm.
Tuki is very good as well in his verses. And like if you just listen deep enough, there's just so many double meanings that people miss out
Mhm.
on, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
yeah, I can see that. Definitely. Oh my gosh, like, even him like, his wife too, like, Lily,
Oh my
she uses, like,
God.
very complex Hmong words.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I hear you, I get what you mean. Well, yeah,
Hmm.
I love these artists, and they're from Milwaukee too, so period.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, and, like, obviously, songwriting, it's been a really big part of you for a long time now. So, like,
Mhm.
personally, do you find it, like, therapeutic? And, like, how does that help you, like, process your own emotions?
I feel like I've been writing for a very long time, but then like I haven't really actually released anything official for like until this year, you know? And I think that it's liberating and therapeutic to write simply, but then it's very limiting to not release. if that makes sense. So I feel like in the industry, right? Like I feel like it's a race of like who's going to release first, you know? Like do not release kia je nu coffee da up in je do not release kia je do not gun da up in right? So it's kind of like that, but then like see the thing that sets it apart is like who's gonna be able to really keep that, like be able to make their song like timeless, you know, where it keeps on getting listened to, people revisit it no matter what. And I think for me that right there is probably difficult to deal with, but then the writing itself, it's very very therapeutic. But then sometimes, like I said, it's not so much when like you realize how much more work you have to do if you want to take this to a next level, or if you want to be a serious artist, then the amount of work, the amount of research, the amount of not just on history, but then on people, on music itself. And I'm barely at the beginning of that. So I think that is something that is challenging for me right now. But the writing, it's always been therapeutic. So I'm just really glad I'm on this road, to be honest. I'm not even thinking about the money, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you do it because you enjoy it, right? And, like, you just wanna
Mhm.
put a message out there for people, and it's like well, obviously, like I said, like, I'm not a songwriter, so I don't know the challenges, but just kind of, like, hearing you talk about it, I feel like it is also very inspiring just kinda hearing you talk about that because, like, when I first heard your song, right? Like, it caught my attention, like, right away, and it's,
Mm.
like, added to my playlist, but it is true when you are the artist, you think about these things where, like, "Oh, is it just gonna be, like, popular for a week?" Like, or is it gonna be a legendary thing where people will
Mhm.
still be talking about it, like, 10 years from now? Like, for example,
Mhm.
like, Luya songs, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
seriously, yeah.
yeah, and, like, the thing is from what I'm feeling, from, like, what you kind of explained, I feel like you want that impact on people, with
Mhm.
your songs or, like, through your songs. So yeah, I would say it does take some time, like, you can't just, get up there like this, so I'm glad that
Mhm.
you are starting this and still diving into your research because I feel like research is so important. You never want
Super.
to, yeah, like,
Yeah.
say anything wrong or put
Mhm.
any misinform anything. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that, you're in that process right now. So obviously, we kind of talked about your song Hluka. So I do want to talk a little bit more about that.
Mhm.
How do you approach like writing such heavy topics like this, like such as like, depression and like without feeling overwhelmed?
Well, like the reality of it, Jess, is that you will feel overwhelmed.
Mm,
You will feel depressed. You will feel heavy. Like look at Soshia. I mean, all of my three songs that are out, like I've written them from a place of like only when I've ever been in that kind of headspace where it's just not really, really bright, you know? It's just you can't escape that feeling. You have to somehow like work through it. It's inescapable. You just have to do it. And I guess your question is how do I do it, right? Like I
mhm,
honestly don't even know. Like I just like if I were to say like from step to step, I would say like I think about the pain, right? About how it makes me feel. And then I think about how can I put this into words? And it's damn near impossible too, because like everything that you want to say, almost everybody else has already said. So you kind of have to see it from a writing perspective as well, an artist perspective as well. And it's just y like when you find the words, it almost feels like freedom when you find it. But then when you can't find it, like you're going to try to fit every single word into that line into that stanza. You're gonna try to fit everything, every rhyme, every, like lyrics, like it's going to feel off. It's going to feel weird. And like when you find it, you just find it, you know? Um, but then while you're writing, you have to definitely process like everything that you're feeling. Kind of like a therapy session where you're asking yourself these questions like, okay, how do you feel if you say this? How do you feel about that? Does this capture what you're feeling? It's like a case of like question and then checking in with yourself. Um, and if you need to cry, cry. If you don't need to cry, like take a walk, read books, like do whatever else it is, and then get back into it, and then like retouch that feeling, because you will lose that touch when you tap out of it, and then when you get back into it, it's gonna be like you'll remember, you'll pick up from where you were at, but it's like a difficult process to just, I mean, I can write a song in one sitting. There's songs that I can write in one sitting, and then there are other songs where I take like freaking forever and I probably never finish them. But like the message is that you can't escape what you're feeling when you're writing that. You have to sit through it. So,
Hmm.
hmm
Wow. I find wow. That okay, first of all, thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable with us. Like,
thanks.
as a listener, that like, artists they have to go through that, to have to sit through the emotions, digest it
hmm
continuously, checking in with themselves. And I find that so like brave for you to share and to talk about. So and
Happy
like
to.
yeah, and like obviously, specifically in your song Try to Be Me or like Mama Let Me Tell You Something.
Mama, let me tell you something you don't know about me, and I really hope you'll
Oh
see.
my gosh, girl. That song, I think it's something that I can relate to because, I've been in, similar shoes or I felt similar emotions that you felt, and obviously in the music video, you were very vulnerable and you shared a lot of your raw videos of yourself. I really want to point out like a specific like your some of your specific lyrics
Mhm,
where you
mhm.
say quote like everybody wonders why I'm acting like a madman. They didn't even ask me how my day went. They just assumed I had no demons, so I shut the door and let nobody else in. That is so powerful, so relatable.
Oh,
And with you like telling me that you have to sit through these emotions when writing these lyrics, I can just only imagine how dark that is, you know?
Jess, I thank you so much for sharing about that as well. Like, man, Try to Be Me is that song that's kind of like my baby. Like,
Mhm.
that's my song. Like, I know Shia had like a good hit, right? But then like Try to Be Me will always be my number one, where I'm just kind of like, this is my first song that I ever really, really wrote with like my whole heart. I mean, every song I do, but then this one is like that first one that's kind of like a tearjerker. Every time I think about it, it's just kind of like, but yeah, those lyrics, it's just it comes from such violence that I really had to learn how to put it into words about how I feel like, Um, 'Cause I feel like anybody on this planet, when you feel misunderstood by someone you love, you just want to like just like yeah, like listen to me, like listen to me. Like but then 俾懵你啊，俾全魔落路係啲個好個啦啦管家個啦塔子啦what like we don't say these very very tender words. We tend to just say it to people who we've just met, or like people who where the meaning is lighter, but in more vulnerable moments, um it's just so difficult to not to say those words, and instead the thing that comes out is just it's okay, it's okay, 個係故係個故呀個呀, cú trong chắc có cái trong chắc cú, cú lo cái yao, cú hiểu cái nhà, cú hiểu cú
Mm-hmm.
đun chai, like there's all these things that it's just kind of like the hierarchy as well, and then like all these power plays into it, and it just doesn't sit right with me, because the situation that we are in right now, it should not, right, have those things if Yo, yo, with the brother, yeah, yo, with the sister, huh? Like, there's no such thing as like, you need to listen to me because I'm right. And the only reason why I'm right is because I am. I just am. Like, and I think that's the thing that makes me very, very upset. And I wrote that song from the feelings of being misunderstood, being limited, being almost self-destructive, almost very, I mean, it is a song about suicide, so it's just, yeah, like,
The topic of suicide is so heavy, and I feel like not a lot of people are able to talk about it because when we dive into a topic like that, it's true, like it reveals their demons. And I feel like a
mhm,
lot of people they try to like they create like a facade to kind of, like just hide their demons because that's a part of them that they don't want people to discover. But it's true,
mhm,
like I feel like a lot of the Hmong, what is it, traditions do play a role, especially us as like Hmong women, right? Or Hmong
mhm,
daughters.
mhm,
A lot of the traditions do play a role in the reason why most of the time people do have suicidal thoughts. Personally, me too, like
mhm,
my parents are very traditional, grew up in a believe in shamanism, very patriarchal family. And I'm the oldest daughter, Hmong daughter,
mhm,
mind you. Yeah. So everything was, handed not handed to me, but everything was like pressured onto me.
mhm,
And I never had that talk with my parents where they would tell me, "Oh, I'm proud of you," or like, "Minai like ocho, go on out of bay," or stuff like that, and it's so
mhm,
sad.
mhm,
And I don't know about your story, Mina, and like I would love to
mhm,
hear the reason
mhm,
why, like, you had those thoughts to what inspired you to create the song. But like me personally, when I was thinking about the song, it brought me back to my own experiences. And the only reason why I'm able to talk about it now is because I have healed from it, right? And that's the only time when people can really talk about it is after it's like when they have digested everything, when they understand the
mhm,
roots to why they're like, why like they are the way they are, and then they have healed from it. So I think that when I yeah, the first time I listened to the song, I was crying and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's so
oh,
crazy. Like I've never felt so understood. Um
mhm,
and so yeah, I just want to say thank you for creating this. And I
oh,
do wanna oh my gosh. And like I do want to hear like, like your story too, like
yeah.
mhm,
Oh my God, Jess. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like,
mhm.
you don't know. Now, that right there is so liberating to me as an artist. Like, that's the reason why I wrote that song. My story, you know, I also, before I jump into that, I just want to say that just this is the first time that I'm hearing that you are the oldest daughter, and all I gotta say is shout out to all the oldest daughters out there because y'all are holding the fort. Like, y'all gotta know this. Shout out to my older sister C because she basically raised me. Like, I don't give her enough praise, but then um she's just freaking amazing, and I'm sure you are too, Jess. But yeah, so my story, it's I during that time I was in college, and it was during COVID as well, and I just had like family problems, and I'm not gonna like go too deep into it because we all got the same family problems at some point, and we all can relate to how family makes us feel, right? And this song specifically came from seeing at some point my mother's pain. And this is the reason why in my song, like I start off with like, I know it's been a really long road. I know it's been a really hard road, right? Like that's kind of like this song right here, the perspective that I'm talking to is myself. I'm literally just talking to myself, right? And I'm trying to just it's kind of like a talk with yourself before you make a decision to harm yourself, you know, like bro, we've been through so much. Like you can't stop here. Like you cannot. If you do, right? Like you're going to leave not just like you're not just only going to leave your dreams behind, you're going to leave behind your family, your loved ones, people who you want to see you win, you know? And like that to me is just, it made life that much more livable, you know? To just think about the people who love you. And even if, you know, like it took a lot of understanding for me to, like understanding the love languages of my parents, right? To understand the love languages of my millennial brothers, you know, of my millennial older sister, you know, um, and because I was raised in a different generation, and my family probably is gonna be like, nah, she not no black sheep, but me, I think I'm a black sheep in my family because I'm a 2002 baby. I'm a Gen Z girl. You know, I was raised in the 2000s. My brothers, they're from, they were born in the refugee camps, but then they came and grew up in America. They're millennials. So they're still kind of like old, traditional kind of thinking, but you know, I can see their changes and we've made lots of progress, but like we just grew up butting head. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was just the most difficult time when I was in college and I was learning how to find my own voice and I was learning how to, and to be fair, like just putting it all out there, I'm not afraid or ashamed to say this, but I wasn't the best like teenager, you know? I was actually horrible. Like I think if you ask my sister, right? Like I think I was actually, you know, horrible as a younger sister, and all these experiences are what made me, you know? Um, and you know, like told you, even though to other people, right, it might be like, oh, she's not even that bad, right? But to our parents and our family, we are like the worst, right? Like we are just like, girl, pay check out your chimola, right? And like those words, they just stay with you know? And like growing up, you don't see other people's family, like how they live their life, you know? Like Hmong people, we secretive. We don't want nobody to know about our family, right? We don't want you know?
It's
But
true.
like yeah, like but me, I lay it all out there, you know? I lay it all out there and I'm just, you know, I try to get insight on like why do my parents, or why do our parents or our elders or even our older sisters or our older brothers, why do they say um what they don't mean, or why do they say these things to hurt you? And then you in defense, you say it back, right? Like this is, and that's where it goes like that, you know? And it's just a lot of misunderstanding, broken broken words to each other, words you don't mean, and just miscommunication. And a lot of it stems from, you know, the culture, the older generation, and generational trauma, you know what I'm saying? And um yeah, like try to be me is, if tying it back to there, is basically that situation of if I pass away, you know, then you, like I really did try. And um yeah, to be whoever I wanted to be, or to be whoever they wanted me to be, you know.
Hmm.
um that is the message in there.
Yeah. Wow.
Hmm.
Again, thank you so much for sharing that piece of you
Thanks.
with
Yeah.
me and the listeners here. And you know, one thing that I like, I've taken a mental health course before, and one thing that I learned was that, you know, people it's not that they want to die. It's that they don't want to feel the pain anymore. That's what it
Mhm.
is.
Oh my
You know,
God.
yeah.
Yes.
And just kind of hearing you talk about that, and like it's something that I've experienced too personally, but hearing you talk about that, it is true when you have these dark thoughts, that are kind of taking control in your head. Sometimes it comes to a point where you don't really give a fuck about like what people got to say, like you just want to end it, like you don't care.
Mhm.
But then I think life just happens to the point where like you always got to think back to like who are the people that are rooting for you. If you were to
Mhm.
pass today, how would they feel? Like these things kind
Mhm.
of lure you back into reality, like, hey, like, no, like, don't do this shit, like it's not the right decision. Unfortunately, some people, they don't have that to kind
Mhm.
of, you know, lure them back into reality and think like there are people who care about you.
Mhm.
So like I said, thank you for sharing. I I feel like I need to digest this.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, no, don't be sorry, girl,
Yeah.
but, like, it's a really heavy topic, but I feel like I'm glad we're having a conversation about it because these are the type of conversations that we need to talk about
Mhm.
to kind of break that stigma, around mental health. So, again, thank you. I'm just really grateful.
Thank you,
So
Jess, for creating the space, honestly.
yeah, of
This is so
course.
powerful, honestly. Like, I feel so good right now. Like,
That's
this right
good.
here is liberating.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
I've always wanted to provide a safe space for, anyone, like listeners, my guests, and even for myself. So I'm glad I can do that. So to kind of continue on with, this topic, um, obviously, sharing both of our stories and as a listener, I've told you how I felt, just now. And, have
Mhm.
you ever heard, or like, have other listeners come up to you and kind of share with you, like,
Oh
their
my God,
thoughts?
Jess. Yes.
Okay.
And it was so unexpected. Like, I'm not
Mm,
even gonna lie. Like, because my first release, right, was Hukatsushia that and I didn't have any expectations for it. I was just kind of like me and my bro Jim, like we're just gonna see where this goes, right? And I had no expectations for it. I was like, bruh, I'd be lucky to get like 3 views, you know? And like, but I love like when you love a song that much, you don't really care where it goes. You know, you kind of just love that it's out. You know, whoever hears it, it was meant for them, you know? And that's how I felt like, but with the like amount of love that I received from it, I had people like hitting my messenger. I had people hitting my Instagram. I had people commenting like, I was just like, yo, people telling me about their lives, and their struggles and how it made them feel, how my music or my song like relieved them from what they were holding for like 15, 20 years. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I like literally to anybody who's listening to this, I just want to give you guys such a big hug. Like, I know that I released it this year in like March, but then like, and I haven't even spoken about it for such a long time, but I have given everybody like my utmost like thank yous. I'm so grateful for everybody who sent me messages and their stories. They've told me and opened up about their struggles. Um, and it's just so beautiful to see like how different everybody's lives are, but yet we still choose to be good people, you know? Like that to me is like this is why I write. Like this is
mhm,
why, right? Like I just love that. And even during my performances too, like I would have like people come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, like are you Lena? Like I love your song." Like dude, I have like one song out during that time and I had like one
mhm,
song and like they would come up to me and they would know me by my face, by my name, by my songs. I would have people in the crowd singing, like mouthing my song that I wrote. And I'd be like, yo, people like love this song.
Yeah, we do.
And I'm still trying to grasp like that even if there was only 5 people in the performance audience, like I would be so happy if those 5 people were to like just even give me one clap or one smile. Like that's how grateful I am, and that's how much I love performing and making music and being an artist. Um, but yeah. Can I
Mhm.
talk about one thing? When I did my first performance with this song, I remember that I was in, I forget what event it is. It was this year, but I don't have I can't remember the top of my head, but I know that there was elders in like the front seats, you know? And like I think one of the elders came up to me afterwards and was like, Min Chai, what ya a có sơ hài lùm mong lo, ai có lồ lùi, chả có dây thia có sơ hài lo có ô đồ cũ tu tu xia, you know, like it made me like like từ nãy tay đó, ai nè nè từ là lâu rồi giờ, ai nè nè khó bí, chơi luôn nè tu kinh xí nè, and like ô đồ cũ like oh my God, like it just
Mhm.
made me broke down. And to me, well, another fun fact is I always break down when Hmong elders come up to me and they start telling me about
Mhm.
like, you know, like
I hear you, girl.
that makes me so sad and so weak. Like, but no, yeah, like just that's my greatest achievement is being able to have even the elders love my song, you know.
Mhm.
So I love that.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's
Mhm.
so amazing to hear from you because I know like a lot of the elders let you chomlungawa, they don't like gutsia or they shy like,
Mhm.
mambrate like videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my grandma.
Aw.
Yeah, so I'm glad that,
Yeah.
she came up to you and told you that. And yeah, like she's older and she's now just starting to love herself because back then, what self-love was.
Mhm.
So I feel bad for like, the elders to now just learn about that. But at the same time, I'm glad that they get to experience that once in their life, Because self-love,
Yes.
it's hard to
Girl.
yeah, to learn how to do that,
Mm.
right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm glad.
I think especially as like Hmong people, right? If we talk about like our history, like we we have a resilient history of trying to survive. And because of that, we can't even stop for a moment and be like, oh, kuhuka, kuhuku, you know? And like that's the thing is like anybody who's listening, like I just want to let you guys know that I understand, right? And that's my main focus of research right now is generational trauma, right? Is that our elders, right? Many of them mean to hurt us. They don't mean to harm us, but their words, that the things that they've been taught, right? It's taught, right? And now that they have adopted those practices, those unhealthy vocabulary, words, phrases, whatever it is that hurts you, right? In today's world, like it's not meant to hurt you because them, right? To them, like it was just that way. It was just the way it is to them. That's how they learned it. That's what was said to them, and now they're saying it to us. And this is the thing, like we really have to, our new generation where we do know better. Like I had a moment where I was feeling so bad, so down that like but I'm so poop damn wrong because like that's not true, you know? Like this is what I mean, like I had to relearn their love languages, you know? acts of service is super big, you know? Cái lấy đại degree and it's I thought they could look at it.
For real, girl. I didn't even do it for me. I did it for them.
Like cái tổ lấy đại bachelor á, thì it's I thought to your mom and your dad, that means that you love them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And also you they you tell or chai or ma or shoe they the good side out there could look at it see. But then like yeah they could shit out another na I could you like they could look us on you like changing god,
Yeah,
you
they don't
know?
know. Yeah.
So you have to like these are the things that I had to learn with my parents and my grandparents. Um and it was like it was such a hard learning process because I had to unlearn a lot of things that they've already taught me, and then you'll realize that a lot of the times what they've learned is kind of like hypocritical too. And so then that's where you kind of have to come in and realize like, okay, they don't know, right? Like they don't
Yeah.
know. You're gonna have to self-regulate somehow, and which is what I do, right? Like healthy outlets of stuff and talking to people, having good people who you can trust be around, and just trying to find how to talk to your parents, right? I had to relearn how to talk to my parents, and honestly, relearning how to talk to my parents, it definitely helped me on my vocabulary because then you have like so many, you can be so much more tender and real with them, and they will appreciate that way more than if you were like mlong qua, you know? And then nu lo nu hai tia có mlong nu hết, and then you lo you cũng hai có mlong you hết, but then that shit kind of ni chingara, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it was such a learning process for me to learn how to talk, and I'm still learning. I'm still young, still making mistakes. Um, and all I gotta say is, as long as you have the goal to um, improve that relationship, then you definitely gonna find everything in your power to do that. But best case scenario, it comes out good. You love your parents. That's what matters most. And yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, unlearning it is very hard. It's a process for sure. And I'm glad that you brought that up because it's true. It's good to
Mhm.
learn, but it's also good to unlearn a lot of the toxic ways that, like you've inherited from your parents that you know it's not good for you.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason, not the only way that we can
Mhm.
stop the
Mhm.
generational trauma is to
Mhm.
unlearn, to
Mhm.
detox, and to learn like healthier ways on how to express yourself. And also, love language is so important because it's true.
Yeah.
The degree that you achieve, it was not for you, baby girl. It's for your parents.
Good luck, Tessa, but it's like
No,
half
but it's
real, you
true.
know? Like,
Yeah. Okay, half for you, but
yeah.
mostly for your parents.
Yeah,
But yeah, like it's
so
true. Yeah, and I feel like, bây giờ Hmong me got kids, like our love
Mhm.
language is usually words of affirmation. Well, at least for me, because we grow up bitching not in the now, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, so basically
Yeah.
na, but then to learn again, it's more like, yeah, like what you said, acts of service or even like gifting.
Mhm.
But mainly acts of service because like with Wuhan, like they live on like they only know how to farm, as a way to
Yeah.
live. So stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it is really important for you to learn their love language, even though they don't even understand what that is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because you
For
have to
sure.
like, as the person who wants to stop that generational trauma, you will
Mhm.
have to initiate. And like it does suck. I
Yeah.
think it does suck. I think it sucks the most when you have to heal the pain that you didn't cause for yourself.
Oh, that's so real, Jess.
Yes.
Damn.
But the
Yes.
thing is, if you don't heal from it, who's gonna heal? Like, who's gonna help
Mhm.
you heal? Nobody.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
as much as it sucks to heal
Mhm.
from the pain that you never caused for yourself, for the better purpose of it, and if you do want to become that better person and heal from all of your trauma and understand yourself and have a healthier way of living, you have to do it. So I think, yeah, like, thank you for sharing, girl. This is a whole different
Yeah.
topic, generational trauma.
It is, but I think that, and I think with music, right? I truly feel, right? Like if we're connecting music and mental health, like for me, it like that's how it connects. But then, like you will, how can I say this without it being like a lecture? So like with our parents, right? Like and with Hmong na, right? Like our way of portraying love is also music. Like Beihai Gutia,
Mhm.
right? And Beihai like Yalu a like Titsai lo like
Mhm.
any type of form of poetry that is verbal or Bei Chomblong lo, Bei Chota lo, right? Like
Mm.
these things,
Yeah,
like
I never thought of that.
we've always learned how to portray our love to each other, but bito sa teacher mi karake, like we kind of lose those skills. And chilling till he posted, which is why like the boy I told her and it's a chota. I'm just like, damn, what's your number? Like, có bao bây giờ chị đang mong chờ ha, có bao just
Mm.
playing. But you know what I mean? Like, there's these things that are just yeah, bên mong lý tưởng á. And like music is it's not just about modernized songwriting. It's about like how to, you know, sing these verses of Gutia, how to chua da, chua ya, chua ya, chua a blong, like all these beautiful things that I'm still learning about. Even if kuchking kutukeng na ya. There's so many people out there who are skilled, but you know, they're just so humble about it, you know. Um,
Mhm.
but also going back to what you're saying about like unlearning, right? Like just to briefly go back to it, like there are days when it's going to be so triggering where like you were like, "Oh my God, like I feel so changed." And then boom, like another one hits you. And it's just like and then it could be the most triggering thing. Like you'll be getting into it with like your parents and then your mom's probably going to be like, "Hey, cái tên này Luca hết. Cái tụi anh dễ cái cần nó đánh thế à?" And then in your mind you're like, "Mom, cái cần nó cắm ta."
For real, girl.
Like you want to say all these things, you're gonna be thinking it in your head, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is a test for me. Like, and then that is when you have to just think like, I'm the generation to stop this. And then that's when you know, learn how to stop those words. And but I do want to update, like me and my family, we're super close knitted. We love each other, and I even see it in my older siblings. Like my older
Mm.
siblings have learned how to just portray their love a little bit more now as older
Mhm.
siblings should. And
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely feel a lot better with that. But I would be lying if I didn't say that it was a lonely process. That it wasn't a lonely process. It's very lonely.
Mhm.
But it's good to see the progress. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad.
thank you.
Like what you
Yeah.
said before, family, they're gonna have some issues, some fights, but it's how you guys,
Mhm.
like bounce back from it,
Mhm.
that
For sure.
matters. So glad that
Mhm.
you and your family are doing a lot better now.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I guess a question that I do have for you is definitely we
Mhm.
talked about, like how songwriting, mental health challenges and all that. Um, so like just overall, like what kind of message do you want to convey to like your audience or your listeners through your music?
My really big thing is love yourself first, and then love will naturally follow everywhere else. And when I say love yourself, I don't mean be selfish. That's not what I mean. Because when people, I feel like nowadays it gets lost in translation that loving yourself means do everything for yourself. Go and buy that purse that's $3,000. Go and get your nails and feet done for like $6,000. No, it's not. I mean, if you have the funds for it, go for it. But like I'm talking about like real healthy a real, genuine, healthy connection with yourself. And you have to really, really do some work either with a therapist, with yourself, or with someone that you trust, or, start journaling. But somehow get that self work done if you haven't already, and it's gonna bring you so far. With no education, with no like nothing. Like I promise you, if you just put yourself first, this is the reason why some people like they're some of the most like beautiful, genuine human beings ever, is because they love themselves. And yeah, if you do that self work, everything else will naturally follow. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
self love got me this far. I'm in London. I'm in a master's program. I'm doing what I
Period.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I got 3 songs out that I love. It doesn't really matter to me if other people don't or do love it. Like I love it, and that's all that matters. So, number one, love yourself. And number two, don't be afraid of anything, okay? Like, don't be afraid of anything that will jeopardize your future, because if it isn't for you, it's just a redirection, okay? It's just a redirection. You're just meant for something else. Don't take anything personal, and trust in yourself. Okay. So that's really it. Like, that's all you
Mm-hmm.
need. That's all you need. Like, you don't need much. You don't. You really don't.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's a beautiful message.
maybe a little bit of luck, but you're going to be fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
say that's
Yeah.
a really beautiful message that you want to convey to like, your audience. And like just hearing your music, like I do hear that, and I feel like I find it really empowering that you are telling people to love themselves or just kind of portray the term of self-love as something not materialistic, because people do
Mm-hmm.
think it's more materialistic, like, oh, you love yourself, go and do this and that for yourself. But like, I mean, if that makes you feel like you love yourself, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But love
Mm-hmm.
yourself is a deeper meaning than that. It's the
Yeah.
emotional connection that you can make with yourself. And that,
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, and like what Lena said, like that comes with a lot of healing, a lot of taking care of yourself, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that, we have an uprising Hmong artist like you who can bring that message to our Hmong community because it's really needed, right? Especially to our young folks now too, like kind of connecting that back to the Hmong elder who told you that dude that that's not about the king,
Oh my God.
like
Yeah.
biết chứ sao gọi bé là cái bé mà bao lúc biết từ khi although it's good to know how to love yourself, period. If you wait that long, the rest of your life that you have lived already,
Mm-hmm.
good that you look at the cake. So all that trauma has been embedded in you already.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna love yourself, I would say definitely start now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Or
whatever steps.
tomorrow, or tomorrow.
Yeah, I
Just
mean, yeah,
kidding.
whenever,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is it's your
Yeah.
decision, right? It's
Yeah.
either one day or 2 day, you know?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah, period.
Mm-hmm.
So one
Period. Yeah,
one day
period.
or 2 day, like you
Yeah.
choose. So I like literally lost my train of
No,
thought.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's
I played too
okay,
much. I'm so
girl.
sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I love the
Yeah.
background. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying, self-love, yes, that is a very strong message. And I do want to tell people out there who are listening, like, even though you are using or like trying different methods that maybe your friends or family are trying and it's not working out for you, we are all different human beings. Like things that work
Mhm.
for them may not be the things that work for you. And like what Lena kind of said, if it's not for you, it's a redirection. And I like that. So
Oh.
don't feel discouraged, if you're trying something out and it's not, not like your cup of tea, that's okay. Go and try a different cup of tea. It's okay.
For real. Like
Yeah.
honey and lemon is not for everybody. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like there's green tea, like girl, go get you some other bag of tea, like. But anyways, yeah. But
Yeah.
sorry, Jess, I
No,
totally
no.
cut you off again.
No worries, girl. Yeah, so obviously, I do have like one last question to just
Mhm.
kind of, ask you. What kind of advice would you give to, let's say, aspiring like songwriters or people who do want to write their own songs who may also be facing like their own mental health challenges. Maybe they're scared, maybe like they don't have the courage to kind of put themselves out there. Like, what advice would you give them?
If I'm gonna be honest, I don't have, I feel like I really don't have the credibility to tell anybody, but I would just say what I always told myself all these years is just be patient with yourself. Like, patience is a weapon. I promise you guys. Like, patience is such a weapon. And if you are patient and kind with yourself, whatever song that is going to be coming up, like, it's going to be fire, because people will know that you took your time with the songwriting process. People will feel what you feel if you took your time and if you were patient with it. So just be patient with yourself and write what you feel, and never, never, ever stop learning. Like, sometimes you'll be learning stuff, right? And you'll be like, why am I even learning this? This has nothing to do with like what I'm trying to write about. Let's say if you're trying to write about like self love, right? I'm gonna put myself as an example. When I was doing self love, I'm gonna be like researching, like, I don't know, like the American history, right? And you're gonna be like, how does this have anything to do with self love, right? And you're gonna wonder, right? You're gonna wonder these things, but then as if you know how to make connections, right, with what you learn to whatever you're writing about, that right there is key. You know what I'm saying? American history, 1975, Vietnam War, Secret War, Hmong people. Do you see what I'm trying to get at right now? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's Hmong people, right? And then eventually it leads to our generation and Hmong Mika, and then there's Hmong Faki, and all these different things that you just will, like, if you don't know what to write about, like, just write about something that irks you or something that you feel really strongly about. But yeah, number one, be patient, and number two, just never stop learning. So yeah.
Mm, yeah, thank you for your advice. I hope, people who are out there and they're planning to, write their own songs or, just come up with anything and share it with our community. You take some of, Lena's advice, and it's true. It's really like a funnel, right? Like Hmong history, and then it goes down, and then it comes to the topic that you want to write and talk about. And so
Yeah.
research is a lot. It's going to also, make you more credible to your, whatever you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. So I do want to conclude with a quote that I found.
Mm-hmm.
It's by Bruce Springsteen, and it quotes, "Music is the subversive weapon that allows you to talk about what you're feeling without having to explain it in literal terms. It gives you the freedom to be vulnerable." So that's
Mm-hmm.
the quote that I've chosen to kind of tie everything that we've talked about in this session all together. So before we, say our thank yous and all that, Lena, do you have any like last remarks that you would want to share?
I just hope everybody's having a good day. Having a good day is so essential to our futures. I hope people know that. But I am just so thankful, Jess, for you reaching out, being such a safe space, telling me your stories, being vulnerable with me. Um, and I honestly cannot be more grateful for just like genuine connections like this, and having, people who I know are going to be impacted by this, and I'm impacted by this, and I'm just so grateful, seriously. And whoever's listening, just be yourself, dude. Just be yourself. You're going to be fine. But yeah, this is Lena.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that, I'm able to create that safe space and create this genuine connection with you too. So thank you for being on here and, making time to be a guest on my podcast, especially with us having such a different time zone. Thank you for being so flexible and accommodating to, my schedule and making this work. I am excited to have all of like my listeners kind of listen to our session today. So I'm very proud of the work that you do, and I say that with a lot of pride because I think you do represent the Hmong community really well, and I want you to continue doing that work. And I can't wait to see what kind of plans you have in store in the future. And I will always be a supporter and yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you to you. And then I just want to say thank you to all of the listeners out there. If you've been here with us this whole time, thank you for tuning in. Again, I really appreciate all of your continued support, with Untamed Minds podcast. And if you haven't yet, please follow me on my social media platforms such as Spotify, YouTube, and I also do have a Facebook where I post like little clips and updates and all that. So, those three platforms. Other than that, thank you all so much for tuning in today, and I can't wait to see you all again next time. All right, bye.